The job sounded simple enough. A straightforward delivery of rare herbs to a recluse in the whispering woods. As a botanist, I often dealt with strange assignments, but there was something unsettling about this one. The woods had a reputation in Willowvale. Stories of disappearances, eerie sounds, and unnatural happenings. Still, the pay was too good to ignore, and I convinced myself it was just another exaggerated local legend. The sun was dipping below the horizon as I reached the edge of the forest, the fading light casting long shadows across the mossy ground. I checked the address scrawled on the crumpled note in my hand. A cabin deep in the heart of the woods. There was no path, only a faint trail that twisted through the trees. My stomach churned as the woods grew darker with every step, the towering trees pressing in like silent sentinels. I arrived at the cabin just as the last rays of sunlight disappeared. It was small and ramshackle, almost hidden among the ancient, gnarled trees. No lights burned inside, but a soft, melodic whistling floated out through the cracks in the wooden walls. It was haunting, like an old lullaby. I called out, "Hello? I have your delivery." My voice felt small, swallowed by the oppressive stillness of the forest. When no answer came, I approached the cabin and found the door slightly ajar. "Hello?" I called again, louder this time, pushing the door open with the back of my hand. Inside, the air was damp and cold, and the faint smell of earth and decay clung to the walls. The whistling had stopped, replaced by an almost imperceptible hum that seemed to vibrate through the floorboards. The interior was barren except for carvings etched into the wooden walls. They were intricate and chaotic, twisted symbols and faces, each one more grotesque than the last. They seemed alive in the dim light, pulsing faintly as if breathing. I couldn't shake the feeling that they were watching me. A shiver ran down my spine. Then I heard it, a child's voice, soft and trembling. "Help me," it whispered. My breath caught in my throat as I spun toward the sound. It came from the forest, somewhere beyond the cabin. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice shaky. The voice repeated, clearer this time. "Help me?" Against my better judgment, I stepped back outside, the chill of the night biting at my skin. The whisper came again, drawing me toward the trees. I hesitated, glancing back at the cabin, but something, curiosity, concern, or maybe just a strange pull of that voice, urged me forward. The forest was darker than ever, the moonlight barely piercing through the dense canopy above. The voice guided me deeper, its soft pleas echoing through the trees. My heart pounded as I stumbled over roots and underbrush, the oppressive silence broken only by the crunch of leaves underfoot. Eventually, I came upon a clearing. In its center was a circle of disturbed earth, as if something or someone had been buried there and recently dug up. The air was heavy, thick with the scent of damp soil and something metallic. I hesitated at the edge of the circle, the voice silent now, leaving me alone with the oppressive weight of the dark. Against every instinct screaming at me to turn back, I stepped closer. My boots sank slightly into the soft earth as I crouched down. The dirt smelled fresh, yet something about it felt wrong, unnatural. I reached out hesitantly, brushing the surface. That's when it happened. The ground erupted beneath me, and skeletal hands, pale and dirt-streaked, clawed their way out of the earth. They grabbed my arms, my legs, pulling me down with impossible strength. I screamed, kicking and thrashing, but the harder I fought, the tighter their grip became. "No, let me go." My cries echoed in the empty forest, swallowed by the night. I clawed at the ground, trying to find purchase, but my fingers only sank deeper into the loose soil. The hands kept coming, more and more of them, their cold, bony fingers wrapping around me like vines. Faces began to emerge in the ground, hollow eyes, twisted mouths, their expressions locked in eternal torment. They whispered as they dragged me down, their voices blending into a haunting cacophony. "You shouldn't have come." The world around me darkened as the earth swallowed me whole. The last thing I saw was a circle of trees above, their branches twisting together to form a jagged, gaping maw. I don't know how long I was trapped in the dark. Minutes? Hours? Time lost all meaning. The whispers never stopped, circling around me, growing louder and more insistent. My limbs felt heavy, my body numb. And then, abruptly, the voices fell silent. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was standing at the edge of Willowvale, my delivery bag slung over my shoulder. It was empty, the herbs gone. My hands were caked in dirt, my fingernails cracked and bleeding. I had no memory of how I got there, but something had changed. The townsfolk avoided me after that. They whispered when they thought I wasn't listening, their eyes filled with fear. And then the disappearances began. One by one, people vanished without a trace. Sometimes, late at night, I'd hear the whispers again, calling from the woods. I don't go back there anymore. I don't dare. But I know the forest hasn't forgotten me. It's waiting, watching. And deep down, I know it won't let me go for long. I was 18, just a few months into my job as a florist assistant in our quiet lakeside town. It wasn't glamorous, but I loved working with flowers and meeting the regulars who frequented the shop. That day started like any other, a steady stream of small orders and polite chatter. But by late afternoon, when I was tasked with delivering a bouquet to a woman named Irene, I had no idea I was stepping into a nightmare I'd never forget. The directions led me to an old lake house on the outskirts of town. People whispered about it sometimes. Strange noises, lights in the windows long after it should have been abandoned. My boss brushed off the rumors when I mentioned them. "It's just a house," she said, shrugging. "Now go make someone's day." I arrived just as the sun started dipping low, painting the lake in hues of gold and orange. The house stood at the edge of the water, its peeling paint and sagging roof looking out of place against the picturesque setting. I parked my car on the gravel drive and noticed a man on the dock fishing. He waved cheerfully, so I grabbed the bouquet and approached. "Hey there," he called, reeling in an empty line. He had a weathered face and a kind smile, the kind you might expect from someone's grandfather. "You must be the delivery girl." "That's me," I replied, holding up the bouquet. "Irene ordered these." "That's right, for my wife." He nodded toward the house. "She's inside. Come on in. She'll be down in a moment." I hesitated. There was something off about the way he looked at me, too friendly, like he was studying me. But it was just a delivery, and he seemed harmless enough. With a forced smile, I followed him up the creaky porch steps and into the house. The interior was a strange mix of two worlds. Fishing gear, rods, tackle boxes, and nets was scattered everywhere, while the furniture looked like it belonged in a Victorian parlor. Faded floral wallpaper curled the edges, and the air carried a faint, musty scent of damp wood. I clutched the bouquet tighter. "She'll be down soon," the man said, pouring tea into two mismatched cups on the small dining table. "Why don't you have a seat?" I wasn't much of a tea drinker, but refusing felt rude. "Thank you," I said, sitting cautiously. As I took a sip, a faint scratching noise broke the silence. It was subtle, almost like nails dragging along wood. I paused mid-drink and glanced at the man. "Do you hear that?" I asked. His face darkened, the warm smile vanishing. "It's just the lake settling," he said curtly, his eyes darting to the floor. The scratching grew louder, more insistent. I set the cup down and stood. "I think I should go." "Irene." "She's downstairs," he interrupted, gesturing toward a door at the far end of the room. "Go on. She's waiting for you." Something in his tone made my stomach churn. The air in the room felt heavier, oppressive. I took a step toward the door, telling myself I'd peek in and leave. As my hand reached the doorknob, the scratching turned into a sharp, dragging sound. I froze. Then I saw it. A hand, pale and slick, dripping water, emerged in the darkness beyond the doorframe. The fingers twitched, curling upward as if to beckon me. My heart stopped. I stumbled back, tripping over a chair. The man stood still, watching me with an unnerving calmness. His eyes weren't kind anymore. They were empty, cold. What is that?" I stammered. "She's waiting," he said again, his voice hollow. I didn't wait for him to elaborate. I bolted for the front door, my pulse pounding in my ears. My feet barely touched the ground as I raced to my car. Behind me, I heard the door slam open, followed by heavy footsteps and a wet, guttural sound that made my skin crawl. I didn't dare look back. My hand shook as I fumbled with my keys, finally shoving them into the ignition. The engine roared to life, and I sped down the gravel road, my tires kicking up clouds of dust. At the shop, I told my boss everything. She called the police, and I spent the night pacing my room, jumping at every creak and shadow. The police went to the lake house the next morning. They didn't find Irene. Instead, they discovered women's belongings scattered throughout the house, clothing, jewelry, diaries, but no sign of the owners. The man, too, was gone. The basement was flooded, with no explanation for the water source. The scratches on the floorboards? Claw marks, leading toward the basement door. They asked me to describe the man, but the words felt inadequate. He seemed normal, I said, but he wasn't. Over the years, more stories emerged. People disappearing near the lake. Shadows moving in the windows of that cursed house. I stopped driving by altogether, but the memories never faded. Even now, late at night, I hear the faint sound of scratching beneath my floorboards, and I wonder if I truly escaped, or if Irene, or whatever she became, still waits for me in the dark.